Hi everybody, welcome back to Crafted by Corie. If you're new, I'm Corie, really excited that you're here. If you are returning, thank you so much. I appreciate you all more than I can even tell you. So thank you for being here. Today's video is super exciting because we are doing a collab with the Red-Headed Scrapper and we are part of Heidi Sobel's DIY playlist. So let's go ahead and get right into the crafting.
DIY number one. For this project, I have a pine box that I actually got at the liquor store of all places. This is a box that was used to store or ship, I'm assuming, wine bottles. And I happened to be at the liquor store and saw the boxes sitting there and asked them what they were doing with them. And they said, well, we're selling them for $2 a piece. So I bought all three that were there. So for this one, I was just pulling out the little staples that were still in it and got it fixed up with my wood filler, and then I was just showing you my chalk paint that I picked up at Habitat for Humanity Restore. This is the color Winter, and it is pretty much an exact match in color to the plaster chalk paint by Waverly if you're looking for something of the similar color. So I had painted the bottom part of my box. Now I am coming in with my Waverly Antique Wax and a baby wipe, and I am going to give a good coat to my lid of my box, and I'm coating both sides. Once that was all set, I set it aside to dry, and I'm taking 4 Dollar Tree plungers, removing the handles from the bases, and I'm just gonna cut off that twisty, screwy part that goes into the plunger base. And now I'm just trying to figure out how much of these I need to trim off to just make sure that they are all the same length. I need them to be exact. So I am being meticulous in just making sure that they're all lined up and that I am cutting them all to the same length. Once I had them all cut, I went ahead and gave them a coat of paint with my winter chalk paint. And now I'm going to attach my lid to my box. I'm just deciding which side I want facing out, essentially. So I have these brass hinges that I had picked up from the Home Depot, and I am just going to attach them to my box. Now, I want to make sure that I have preset holes for these because I don't want to split my wood because this box is really, the wood is very thin. So as you can see, I'm actually using my little pokey tool from the Dollar Tree and my piercer, and I'm actually using that to go in because I did not have a drill bit that was small enough, and I figured that this would actually work, and since the pine wood is such a soft wood, it worked just fine. So once I had all of my holes set, and I had measured off both sides just to make sure that I was placing them in the same place before I started in with creating my holes. But then I was able to just screw them right in by hand, and I've got a working box with a lid. I was so proud of myself with this, you guys. So I'm going to flip that upside down. And on the bottom, I am going to adhere my legs, and I am just using some wood glue now. You do want to go back in and make sure that you're securing them with screws or nails or something. Screws are ideal from the inside down into the legs because the glue probably is not sufficient to hold them. If it gets bumped sideways, you might end up breaking your legs off. So just a word to the wise. So now I'm using a 1x2 that I had picked up at the Home Depot. It's something like $1.18 for an 8-foot length. And I'm cutting that down to a size for braces all the way around. And I'm using my antique wax for these as well. So now when I had measured them off, I did it at the base. And I didn't account for the fact that they do taper slightly. So I found that they were a little bit too short where I wanted to be having them about 6 inches from the tip of the foot or the part that's going to hit the floor. So I was going ahead and using some large popsicle sticks to just use as little shims in there, and I'm attaching those with some wood glue to my braces before I attach the braces between my legs. Hopefully that makes sense. So using some wood glue for this, and I wasn't too concerned about how it was going to look because I am planning on using another element to just secure everything even more. So I've got my little Dollar Tree level and making sure that everything is the same height and level and even. And as I mentioned here, I'm coming in with my jute twine from Walmart. This is a big roll that I had gotten a while back. And I had cut off a nice length. It was probably about, I would say, a 9 or 10-foot length of jute twine that I cut off so that I could work with it a little bit more easily here. And I'm just wrapping it around and going at an angle across, and you're going to see in just a little bit how that looks on the other side. And then I tied it off when I had it to where I wanted it. I'll trim off that little piece, and then I just used a little smidge of hot glue on the end of my knot to make sure that it wouldn't come undone. But here is my piece all finished, my little side table with storage. I'm very proud of it, and I cannot wait to hear what you think. Leave me a comment and tell me what you think of this piece.
Hi again, and thank you so much for being here. To my subscribers, I appreciate all of the love and support. I can't even begin to tell you how much I absolutely adore every single one of you. So thank you so much for being here. And if you are new, welcome to my channel. This is Crafted by Corie. On my channel, I love doing all different kinds of DIYs and crafts. Generally on a budget, a lot of Dollar Tree. Today we've got some thrift flips, and I did throw in a trash to treasure project as well. So a little bit of something for everybody. And it is a collaboration with the Redheaded Scrapper. My friend Angie is such a sweetheart, and I hope that you'll check out her video after this video and see what she created as well, because she is fantastic. Just take a look at all of these fantastic crafts on her channel as well. Really can't say enough good stuff. And I have to share, if you are sticking through and watching everything, you are going to be in on a special giveaway, because I know some people have been having trouble finding these at the Dollar Tree, and I found a few extras, so I'm going to be giving them away. So I don't know if you noticed that first project, I kind of left it a little bit plain. I debated putting something on the table, whether it was words or whether I was going to distress it a little bit. But let me know, would you leave it the way that I left it, or would you do something more to it? Leave me a comment. Let me know if you'd leave it the same way or if you would do something else to it, and if so, what would you do? And you'll be entered to win. All right, let's go ahead and get right back into the crafting.
DIY number 2. For this project, I have some pieces that I picked up from the Goodwill. These were all 99 cents a piece. I've got these little parfait glasses, and then these were little bread warmers. And the reason I know that is that it was actually imprinted on the pieces themselves. They're like a clay. So I guess you like warm them up and then you can set your bread on them. It keeps your bread warm. Kind of fancy. But I am giving everything a rub down with some rubbing alcohol. One of my sweet subscribers suggested that my paint might stick a little bit better. So I cleaned everything off with rubbing alcohol, and I'm coming in with my E6000 and a little bit of hot glue. And I'm going to secure my parfait glasses to my little pottery rounds, for lack of a better term. These are just raw clay, baked clay, from what I can tell. So now I'm coming in with my chalk paint. This is Crystal by Waverly. And my first coat went on the way it normally does, which is usually pretty good. And then when I came in for my second coat, this was the moment of truth. I was hoping that that rubbing alcohol was going to do the job, and it still kind of wanted to come up on me as I was applying the second coat of paint. Now, I don't know if it's because I'm using chalk paint. My guess is that chalk paint and glass just don't mix. So it might just be that. It could also be that the paint was still warm because I had used my heat gun to try to dry that first coat, and maybe I didn't let it dry fully, or maybe it needed to cool down. I don't know. But at any rate, as soon as it got wet again, it wanted to come right up off of the glass. So I'm thinking maybe acrylic paint might work better. But at any rate, once I had them all painted and done, I came in with some baker's twine that I had gotten from the Dollar Tree, and this was in a light blue shade that was almost an exact match to the paint color, and it was interwoven with white. Right? So it's not just a solid blue, but it's a blue and white. And I just think it's such a pretty color. So I wrapped that around my base several times. And then I'm sorry, you can't really see what I'm doing here, but I did a simple shoelace bow and then decided I didn't like the way that looked. So I untied it, wrapped it around again just to shorten my ends. And then I went ahead and tied it off with a simple knot. Now I know looking at that I'm not done, because I definitely wanted something more. But in the meantime, I went ahead and did the same thing with the other side. And here you can see I'm just tying it off with a simple knot. And if I had to guess, I probably went around the base about 6 or 8 times. Now I'm wrapping it around my fingers 8 times and just creating a whole bunch of loops and clipping that off. And I'm going to set my loops down on top of those tails that were already created on the piece. And I'm going to tie a knot around my loops. So I'm just creating a bow of sorts. So just a little floppy, messy bow. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. I'm just holding my fingers a couple of inches apart, wrapping the baker's twine around, and then coming in with my little loops and tying off in the center. So hopefully you can see here exactly what I'm doing. Super simple and super cute in my opinion, but let me know what you think. So as I mentioned before, this is a part of Heidi Sambel's DIY Challenge playlist. And so I hope that you'll check out all of the other videos in the playlist. And remember the redheaded scrapper, I've got links in my description box for everything. DIY number 3. For this project, I am using yet another little piece that I picked up from the Goodwill, and I am coming in with my apple barrel paint in white, and this is by Plaid, and I was so excited because Plaid has sent me a whole bunch of paints to use for my videos to share with you all, and I am just thrilled. They also sent me a bunch of these paintbrushes, and I'm loving this one that I'm using. Just the fact that this is a little basket with a whole bunch of little wires and details, I decided ultimately that the spray paint was going to be a better way to go to get full coverage. So nothing to do with the paint that I was using before, it's just that the basket itself was challenging. So I'm coming in with some cardstock now, and I am going to create a loop, and I had cut it the width that was just slightly less than the height of the basket. Hopefully that makes sense, because I don't want it to stick up higher than the basket itself, but I'm creating kind of an oval shape there because I wanted to reduce the amount of the reindeer moss that I was going to have to use around it. So I'm leaving a hole where I'll be able to drop in some floral foam, and where I'll be sticking my flowers in a moment. So I cut off a piece of floral foam and dropped that in, and now I have my irises that I cut all apart, and I'm just creating a cute little arrangement. And I love how sweet this is. Let me know what you think. Now it's time for a shout out timeout. Very pretty Rose. Rose has been busy. She sent me so many projects to share with you all. Great job, Rose. And awesome, Harriet. Look at all of these sweet projects that Harriet sent our way. So pretty, Stephanie. I just think that these are super sweet. And gorgeous, Grace. Look at all these poured paint projects. They are awesome. And great job, Carmen. Thank you so much for sharing your sweet projects with us. I would love to give you a shout out too. If you have interest, send me an email at craftedbycorie@gmail.com. DIY number 4. So this is actually a trash to treasure. It's not a thrift flip, but I had found this piece of wood in a shipment I received for my yoga trapeze stand. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're going to want to check out my other channel, which is called Calm with Corie, where I do guided meditations. And I've been talking about the power of positive thinking. And yes, my new yoga trapeze. That video is coming soon. So with this piece of wood, I went ahead and gave it a couple of good coats of my crystal chalk paint by Waverly, and then I've got this scrapbook paper. I'm using a scrap of that, using my double-sided tape from the Dollar Tree that I absolutely love, and I'm just going to center that. Now I have this Bless Our Home piece that I had taken off of another project for a different video, and I am just cleaning up the edges. The edges were kind of rough and had little pieces of wood sticking out, so I wanted to clean that up with my sanding block. And then it was all written in a cream tone, and I wanted to just bring that tone down a little bit, make it a little bit cooler so that it would blend in with the blues that I was using. So I'm literally just going over the words with a fine paintbrush with the crystal chalk paint just to get it to be a little bit closer in color. I forgot to show this to you, but I did use some hot glue to attach a tumbling tower block to the back of my Bless Our Home sign, and then just attached it and centered it to the middle of our piece there. So now I am just cutting down my pansy picks. You guys know how I love to cut down my picks, and I am placing them around the bottom of the frame and just gluing them into place where I want them. And at first I thought I was just going to put flowers along the bottom and then perhaps put a nice pretty bow at the top. But then I was just feeling like I wanted to bring them up a little bit higher on either side. And then all of a sudden I was like, you know what? I'm going to put them all the way around. So I did go all the way up and around. I did leave a space at the top for a bow because I still did want to have a bow. And I decided I wanted to use this gingham or buffalo check ribbon that I had picked up from the Dollar Tree. I just thought it was super sweet. And so I tried making the bow one way, and I was like, no, I don't want to do it that way. And so this is the fold over method that I'm now doing. And so once I had it set that way, I came in with my scissors and just notched either side of it. And then you can use a chenille stem or a piece of wire or whatever. I ended up using a zip tie because that was what I had right there at my table. So just secured the middle, and then I could play with the bow and twist the little loops around until I had them where I wanted them. Then I came in with some hot glue, secured that to my little sign, and then I rearranged the loops some more. And then I had a little scrap piece of the ribbon that I looped over a couple of times, used some hot glue, and I'm just going to secure that to the middle of my bow, just making it look the way that I want it to look. So adjusting that a little bit more, and then I'm looking at it and I'm like, you know what, I think I need some more flowers. So I'm coming in with some extra flowers around the top, and this just to me started looking like a rectangular wreath. So wreath, a sign, I'm not sure. What would you call this? But I don't know. I thought it was super sweet and pretty at any rate, and I just love these colors. So once I had it the way I wanted it, I am grabbing a soda can tab And I am going to adhere that to the back of my piece. And I'm just using a whole bunch of hot glue. I'm going to lift that up a little bit to make sure the hot glue gets in underneath it. And I'm just going to make sure that that is nice and secure. And this is what I'm going to be using for my hanger. Isn't that sweet? Let me know what you think. And here we are with the final reveal.
Okay, everybody, that's it for today. If you enjoyed today's projects, please give me a big thumbs up because it really does help support my channel. And if you haven't already subscribed, I hope that you'll hit that subscribe button and ring the bell because that way you'll get notified every time I upload a new video. Just a reminder to be sure to check out the Red-Headed Scrappers video right after this one, and then a reminder to also check out the rest of the videos in Heidi Sombel's playlist because there is a lot of inspiration here. So until the next time, be well, be kind, and make it a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Take good care. Bye.